In the summer of 1858,
London was the undisputed capital of the world. It was the heart of the British Empire, a sprawling metropolis of immense wealth, power, and industry. But this great city was brought to its knees, not by an invading army or a political revolution, but by a smell. A stench so profound, so overpowering and apocalyptic, that it would be forever known as the Great Stink. At its heart was the River Thames, once a source of pride, now a festering open sewer. For centuries, London's waste had seeped into the ground from cesspits. But the city was growing at an explosive rate. Its population had more than doubled in 50 years, a chaotic result of the Industrial Revolution. This, combined with the popularization of a new invention, the flush toilet, created a crisis. Each flush funneled waste from homes directly into London's ancient, crumbling sewers, which were never designed for such a purpose. Their only destination, the River Thames. The river became a thick, brown, sluggish monster. It was a horrifying chemical cocktail of human sewage, industrial effluent from factories, and waste from slaughterhouses. The once clear water was now a putrid, bubbling brew. Scientists of the day believed that disease was spread by miasma, a foul smell or vapor rising from decomposing organic matter. In their minds, the stench of the Thames wasn't just unpleasant, it was literally the smell of death, a visible, airborne plague waiting to consume the city. And they weren't entirely wrong. Cholera, a terrifying disease that could kill a healthy person in hours, stalked the city in terrifying outbreaks, its true cause a mystery to most. Then came the summer of 1858. A brutal heat wave descended upon London, and the water level of the Thames dropped, exposing mudbanks thick with centuries of filth to the baking sun. The river began to ferment. The stench that rose was unimaginable, a cacophony of odors that invaded every corner of the city. People walking along the river would suddenly begin vomiting. Business in the city slowed to a crawl as citizens fled the toxic air. The crisis reached its peak at the very center of power, the Houses of Parliament, built right on the riverbank. The esteemed members of Parliament, the men governing a global empire, were besieged by the smell. They tried to douse their curtains in chloride of lime to mask the odor, but it was useless. The great stink was so overpowering that they considered abandoning Westminster altogether. The problem could no longer be ignored. The government, which had debated and delayed sanitation reform for years, was finally forced to act. The stench had accomplished what decades of scientific warning and social campaigning could not. Into this crisis stepped a visionary engineer, a man whose name should be as famous as any general or king, Joseph Bazalgette. He was the chief engineer of the Metropolitan Board of Works, and he had a plan. It was a plan of breathtaking ambition, a masterpiece of Victorian engineering that was as audacious as it was brilliant. His idea was not to simply clean the Thames, but to bypass it entirely. Bazalgette proposed creating a new subterranean river system, a vast interconnected network of interceptor sewers that would run parallel to the Thames. These enormous brick tunnels would catch the sewage from all of London's existing sewers before it could reach the river, channeling it far downstream to the east of the city. There, it would be held in massive reservoirs and released into the Thames on the outgoing tide to be washed harmlessly out to sea. It was, in effect, a subterranean superhighway for London's waste, hidden beneath the bustling streets. The scale of the project was colossal. Parliament, desperate for a solution, passed an act in just 18 days, granting Bazalgette the funds and the power to begin. What followed was one of the greatest civil engineering feats in history. Over the next decade, armies of workers, known as navvies, descended into the earth. They toiled in dark, dangerous conditions, digging over 1,100 miles of new street sewers and 82 miles of massive mainline interceptors. The interceptors were architectural marvels. They were not simple pipes, but great cathedral-like tunnels of brick and mortar built to last for centuries. Bazalgette insisted on using the highest quality materials, including a special super-strong cement he helped develop called Portland cement. He famously ordered that the tunnels be built with a generous gradient, and when questioned, he declared he was building for the future and simply doubled the diameter of the pipes to account for future population growth.
It's well done.
It was a stroke of genius that would
Thank you,
save
sir.
London a century later. To move the immense volume of sewage, Bazalgette designed and built colossal pumping stations at key points along the network. Places like Abbey Mills and Crossness were not just functional industrial buildings, they were temples of the industrial age, adorned with ornate ironwork and decorative brick, a testament to the pride the Victorians took in their engineering. The massive steam-powered beam engines inside were the beating heart of this new system, lifting millions of gallons of waste every day. By 1865, the core of the system was operational. For the first time in centuries, London's sewage was no longer being dumped directly into the central Thames. The effect was almost immediate. The great stink vanished. The river, slowly but surely, began to clean itself. But the most important consequence was one that Bazalgette himself didn't fully understand. Just a year later, a cholera outbreak hit the East End of London. However, it was confined only to the area not yet connected to the new sewer system. The link was undeniable. By cleaning the river and preventing sewage from contaminating drinking water, Bazalgette's great work had inadvertently broken the cycle of cholera, saving countless thousands of lives. The final act of this transformation was the creation of London's beautiful embankments. Victoria, Chelsea, and Albert embankments were built on top of the new interceptor sewers, reclaiming marshy land from the river. They provided London with grand new promenades, parks, and roadways, forever changing the face of the city. What was once a source of death and disease was now a place of leisure and beauty. Today, Joseph Bazalgette's Victorian sewer system, with its grand tunnels and ornate pumping stations, still serves as the backbone of London's sanitation. It is a hidden masterpiece of urban planning, a silent guardian that protects the health of millions every single day. The Great Stink of 1858 was a moment of profound crisis, but it was also a catalyst for genius. It forced a city drowning in its own success to confront its filth, and in doing so, to build a new, healthier, and more modern world from the ground up. I'd love to know what you think about this. Join the discussion in the comments. I'll be replying to as many as I can. Our next forgotten chapter is already in the works, so if you enjoy these deep dives, make sure you subscribe and join the community. Thanks for watching.